All right.
We're early, man.
We're a little bit early. You are right. 3 minutes to be exact.
Yeah.
But, well, the first viewers are getting in there. I hope you shared it on your platform.
Yes.
Good. But let's first introduce you. In front of me is Mark Otten, a famous Dutch DJ and sort of a neighbor, I guess.
For sure.
And, well, you had quite an history in music. But let's first just see who Mark Otten is. So, when were you born? Do you have sisters, brothers, etc.?
Sure. I was born 4th of August 1978 in a little village called Haarlem, just below Tilburg.
That's Brabant.
Brabant.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't hear that.
You're kidding.
No, not that obvious.
Well, I've been living in Amsterdam for almost 13 years now, so it kind of goes down, right? The accent,
True.
the dialect. So I've lived there most of my life until I moved to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And I have a lovely sister, 2 years younger. I just showed a picture of her to you. Right? Her name is Maud. She has a family. I have 2 nephews. She has 2 sons. And they're great.
And parents?
Parents are still living in Goorle.
Okay.
In the same house.
Okay, that's quite a trip.
Yeah, it's 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's doable. We're not living in the US.
Well, for our viewers, in Holland, it's quite a trip if it's 1.5 hours. It's far away.
Yeah.
But, so you have a sister with 2 kids and lovely parents.
Yep.
So you had quite a good youth.
Yeah,
if I
for
can,
sure.
If I can say that.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. But we'll get back to your personal life a little bit later on.
Sure.
I think our viewers are interested in
Favorite color, stuff like that.
favorite food. But you're a DJ, and you had quite a career. I looked some stuff up. If you want to check out, that's the one. If you want to check out his music, he's all over Spotify, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and that's just if you know my name, you know my artist name is the same as my real name, Mark Otten.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of other projects, but we'll get to that later as well.
Well, let's get into that. It's a free world. Other
Sure.
projects?
Yeah, so when I started releasing music, it was still very much a case of politics in record labels.
Mm-hmm.
So if you signed a track to one label, most of the time it meant, and it can still mean, but then a lot more than now, it meant that they owned your name for the contract.
Okay.
So if I signed a track to label A and label B was interested in another track, I had to come up with a different project name. Yeah.
So in some sense, it's the same as a writer that writes for multiple magazines, like I did in the past. So you have.
Wait, did you have like aliases?
Yeah, I did.
Really? That's cool.
Don't tell that to anyone. It's not normal that you publish for multiple magazines, and it's the same in music. Then it's okay.
And part of it, I have to say, was my choice because I've always been interested in a huge amount, like different styles of music.
Okay.
And I released different styles of music, so different that, especially then, because we'll get to what has changed. But one of the things that was impossible was if your styles of releasing were too far apart to do it under one name. It's far easier nowadays. It's much more accepted. But back then you would be bashed even more than today. So I also deliberately chose to have a couple of different names.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's check the stream for 1 second because it's a new setup, like you know. It's with our tone.
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
Okay. Yeah, it's working. Good. Before we get into all the interesting stuff, it would be a pity. But you not only make music, you also coach a lot of new talent.
Yep.
And I was wondering where did the the drive come from to give your knowledge to the new generation in some ways?
Yeah, sure. I'll explain a little bit how I got into the teaching gig.
Yeah.
So I didn't study music, actually. You didn't know?
Well, no, I didn't know.
See?
That's interesting.
Neighbors get to know each other in an interesting way.
Good.
I didn't study music. I was always busy with music. I think I was already releasing music when I had to choose what to study.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to university to study business engineering and management science at Technical University of Eindhoven. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. Quite
a technical study.
Quite a hefty study, yeah. Yeah. So I went there. It took me a while, but I finished it. So I have a master's in business engineering.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Tilburg at that time. I really didn't feel like moving to Eindhoven. All my friends lived in Tilburg, so I decided to live in Tilburg as a student. And every time I went to the train station, I would drive past the Rock Academy.
Ah, yeah.
And I remember clearly that I often thought, like, what would it have been like if I would have chosen to actually study music?
Yeah.
Because there was the possibility, there was a question in my head, in my family's minds, like, are you going to the conservatory or are you going to do a real study? You know?
No, that's not fair.
No, it isn't. But
Yeah.
it's a little bit. It was a little bit more like that back then, I think.
Yeah.
And I chose to do the technical study.
Yeah.
But therefore, I always wondered, like, what if I would have chosen music? So how is the vibe inside that building? What's that like to have all these people that have the same passion in one building? So when I graduated,
Yeah.
actually I did my internship at Armada Music, where I released my music.
So that's from Armin van Buuren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I was an artist first,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was looking for an interesting internship graduation project.
Yeah.
And most of the people in my studies were like graduating in these big factories and all that. And I was thinking, I was going towards ICT. So I was like, how can I make the most interesting graduation project for myself?
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, let's see what happens if I go to Michael, the CEO of Armada Music.
Cool.
And he was super...
So
super
what was your subject?
So I graduated on, let's see how to say that, improving the efficiency in digital distribution. Back then...
Wow, back then already.
Yeah, Armada, Michael has always been a visionary in terms of new technologies, the way the market would change.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that much stuff that was being done multiple times, it was so inefficient.
Yeah.
Back then you didn't have Spotify, of course.
No.
It was like iTunes, Beatport, and a whole lot of other portals. There were much more than today, like specified for more like techno-minded or...
So we're talking around 2000, I think.
No, later.
Later.
2007, 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. So downloads was everything.
It was a big thing back then. Yeah.
So imagine you have to start working in this new technology as a record company, as a record label, and you have to deliver your music to all these different portals.
Yeah.
Since it's such a new technology, there weren't any logical, clear-cut, off-the-shelf solutions to do that delivery. So what happened when I was walking through the office, it also had to do with that Armada was just growing like crazy. So they just couldn't keep up with updating the work. But what happened is I would walk through the office and someone was typing Armin van Buuren to send his new single to Portal A.
Yeah.
But then there was someone else next to him who was typing Armin van Buuren to send it to Portal B.
Portal B, yeah.
You had to do these things over and over and over again. And my studies taught me, like, hey, but there are solutions for this.
Yes.
They have not been used in the music business yet.
Yeah.
But you can design it.
Yeah.
So eventually I ended up designing a complete ICT architecture for Armada Music. It was all separate computers up to that point.
Yeah.
So everything in one system.
Wow.
Customer relationship management, stuff like royalties, all that. I designed the architecture.
That's it's quite handy in your job now to know all that stuff. I mean, you're very technical, and as a DJ or a music producer today, you just have a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have all the IT knowledge, you probably learn a lot faster than the average person.
Well, after my studies, obviously I didn't do a lot with it.
Really?
I went into music. Well, I still to this day, I think I'll never know if I would have gotten the opportunity to, like, for instance, found the new department of dance producer at the Haarlem Academy.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw something in me because I was able to think in these analogies.
Yeah.
You
Different.
know, we'll never know. It doesn't matter. I enjoyed the studies, really. And at the same time, I developed a career in music.
Yeah.
So it might be handy, but I think what's even more valuable nowadays is that I've got to experience the inside of a record label very intensely. Actually,
definitely.
I kept working there. After my graduation, Armada said, hey, I actually wanted to go on a world trip. I studied Spanish while graduating. But Armada said, Michael said, I am offering you this job to come and do what you designed. Come in and execute.
So they wanted you as a sort of a project manager, IT manager to get the flow.
Project manager was literally my title.
Yeah.
The first title.
Yeah.
But I had to start then. I like now.
Yeah.
So
didn't want to.
Well, I did. I actually did.
Oh,
so I worked there for a couple of years, improving processes, switching over to a complete new royalty system. That's still used today. Eventually, we ended up not building my architecture. Actually, we did decide eventually to go with an off-the-shelf product. But so I started working there, and I got to know the insides of this industry and this business, companies like that, and that I am absolutely certain I'm still using today, not just for my own career as an artist, but also for the people I'm coaching.
Yeah, because that's a lot of background knowledge that you can still use today, coaching your students. You know how it works behind the scenes, and that's something that a lot of people don't know because they just make music, they deliver it, and that's it. I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Well, when did you start making music?
I've made music my whole life.
Right.
I literally started out on pots and pans. Like,
well, there's a drum over there, so you could potentially give a demo.
Sadly, the cameras are still set up differently. No,
we can.
I'm originally a drummer.
Okay.
Yeah, I studied drums for 8 years actually, and I also did the whole what's the word in English? Like the band, marching band, stuff like that.
Really?
Workshops, jazz workshops, stuff like that. Yeah. No, but I had the luck that my parents were heavily into music. My dad was a musician, and actually he almost went professional as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What does he play?
He plays mostly bass and he sings. He's a great singer.
Oh.
Yeah, he plays guitar and he plays saxophone. And my mom actually sings as well. She plays piano.
So you have it from both sides.
Yeah, she started playing trombone so she could join my dad's brass band later on. Yeah, it's really great. So there was music.
Sort of like the Kelly family.
Well, yeah, perhaps. sort of, like vaguely. Yeah, so there was music always in our house. And there were musical instruments. Actually, we had like a music attic. The only thing there was instruments. That was my upbringing. It's like,
cool. Yeah.
How lucky can you be? So there were guitars and drum kits and keyboards and everything lying around, and I quickly picked it up, I guess. Like an acquaintance of us, he taught me a few chords on the guitar, and then I started like trying myself up to a point where I was like, hey, Dad, is this a chord? And he was like, yes, that's I don't know, G minor. You know, that's how I developed it. Yeah.
So there was no escaping musical in your youth.
Oh, I mean, sure. I never felt pushed. And
no. That's not what I meant. I mean, it's just a lot of fun, and you grew up with it.
What I mean to say is that, like, my sister, she did sing in a choir and she played the flute, but she kind of lost interest.
Okay.
No, but definitely there was music everywhere, and I would go to my dad's concerts. Mm-hmm. He had a band. He always had bands, and I would be criticizing the band. It's like, guys, the second song, that third chord. They're like, Jesus.
You're bad. But it's the same with my son, to be honest. I mean, he grows up with a lot of music at home, mostly played. I don't play myself, not anymore. But he's...
Wait. Not anymore. What did you play then?
I played guitar.
You're kidding?
Yeah, for 8 years.
I love that we're doing this.
Yeah, it's good. I'm not a talent, not really. So I played, I liked it, but I'm better at listening to music than playing music. But I know how a guitar's supposed to sound, and but I'm always jealous that people just pick up a guitar and play all that stuff, and I think nah. But I recognize the stuff you just said, like he's not doing that right. My son does exactly the same. Yeah. Like he's wearing headphones. Just this sounds like crap. And then
oh wow, already.
Yeah, he's spoiled.
Wow,
really spoiled.
Yeah, sure.
But what was your breakthrough as a musical artist? I'm curious. What was the song that made your career?
Yeah. So I started making music. My dad was very instrumental, no pun intended, in getting the new technology in. Yeah. So at some point he brought a keyboard in. I actually just took it to my own studio. It's half broken, but it was able to record 8 separate tracks. Yeah. And that was like, Jesus, I could make songs. Yeah. By myself. I did have my own bands, but all of a sudden I could compose and arrange. Yeah. And then came the first PC. Yeah. Oh, now I have MIDI. And now I had 1 megabyte of sample memory. That was
the good old days.
That was amazing. And I started sampling house kicks and hi-hats and stuff like that, and put it in the memory, and I started creating songs. So I made music by myself. Then I kind of got discovered by someone in the audience when I was performing, actually singing myself as well, one of my songs at my high school. And he became my mentor. His name is Mark Otten, artist name Jim Vagan. Yeah. And yeah, he taught me so much. I'm forever grateful to him about that. And then we did a few early releases, mostly through the label of the club heads, DigiDance. Yeah. Nothing under my own name. Quite hard music. I don't think you would expect it from from what you know about me. And then there was another stroke of luck because Rock Academy. I was nowhere near Rock Academy at that point, but I had a friend who went there. And he had a band, and they had rehearsals, and I went there once. Their regular guitarist was not there, and there was a substitute. And his name was Eller van Buren, the brother of.
Yeah. Okay.
So we started talking, and at some point he actually said, hey, if you want me to take some music to my brother, I'd be happy to. It's like, okay.
Wow.
So I gave him a CD, and I think it was like 3 days. And then I had an email from Armin saying, like, Mark, I'm way surprised. Like, I'm so surprised about your sound. So I was in my student room like, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. He said, I want to work with you.
Wow.
Yeah. Next thing that happened, actually, I talked about it this week, is I knew he had an essential mix that week. I think his first one. Mm-hmm. So BBC Essential Mix, Pitong, huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Huge deal.
I still don't, I remember.
Yeah. And that passed, and I was like, oh, I missed it. Let's see what he played. And I open up the screen, the track list.
Yeah.
And turns out he started with one of my tracks from that CD.
Serious?
Yeah, under my own name, which was never my intention to release music under my own name.
No.
Mark Otten, Mushroom Therapy. And that's my biggest break, let's say.
You still have the cover hanging in your studio.
Yeah, they made like really pretty covers.
Yeah.
Ivo Sprij is his name, amazing designer.
Cool.
Yeah, and Armin also remixed it himself, so huge honor.
Cool.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, back then there was no information about me. That's might be a little bit hard to imagine nowadays, but there was just no information to be found about me, and there was some kind of hype happening, and I deliberately held back, like, okay, let this hype grow. I'll just sit here and wait until a later time. So that went really well. Armin had compilations called Universal Religion and opening track, Mushroom Therapy.
Is it like Forbidden Paradise by Tiesto? It's the same idea?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So, but there's another story, because you're actually referring to Chester now. Yeah. My mentor, Mark, he also was signed to BMG Publishing, and I went there with him to talk about a deal for me.
Yeah.
They, like Mark or BMG or both, I don't know, but they had a contact with Black Hole Recordings, which was back then was the label of Tiesto.
Yeah.
I was a huge Tiesto fan. He's still one of my biggest heroes. Yeah. And we took one of my tracks there, and kind of similarly, or like simultaneously, Mushroom Therapy on the one end, and then there was this other track under the Lightscape alias. There you go with the aliases.
Yeah.
The track's called Inner Warmth, and it kind of got released at the same time. So it was like
you had both.
I had two shots, basically.
2 shots, yeah. And they were both bullseye?
Well, Mushroom Therapy became bigger, I have to say. But, I mean, Chesto actually didn't want to sign it at first. His label managers, they were like, no, we have to sign it. And then when they did sign it, he started playing the crap out of it. So I think you could still find videos on YouTube where he opens his set in Spain or Mexico or whatever with that track. Yeah.
How does that make you feel when a huge artist like Tiesto, I mean, he's big worldwide, or Armin, really big, opens a set with your track?
Yeah.
I mean, that must feel quite euphoric.
It's amazing. Like I said, when I received those that good news, the several kinds of good news, I was just screaming.
Yeah.
And it's really special. I had so much love for the trance back then.
Yeah.
I mean, the CDs, Magic CDs by Tiesto. I would be in bed at night, headphones on.
Yeah. Oh, Magic. Yeah. I still remember those. I think
In Search of Sunrise.
Yeah. Forbidden Paradise.
I sometimes I would cry.
Yeah.
That's how into that music I was. I was so passionate about it, and then all of a sudden I was in.
You're on the album.
So that was actually In Search of Sunrise. Eventually I got on there as well.
Which one?
I think number 5. It was a remix I did for a track called Novocaine.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
Awesome. But did you do? Did you perform yourself as well? I mean, no, never.
No, I back then I didn't. I was still studying.
Yeah.
Actually, Armin's manager, Dave Lewis, who was also the manager of Tiesto before, he actually asked me twice. And I always tell people, I believe people would literally would kill someone to get asked by him. But I said no.
Why?
2 reasons. First of all, I was still studying, and I felt like I would never be able to combine it.
No.
Maybe actually 3 reasons. I really felt like it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I had this really cocky idea of that still back then,
Yeah.
even though I was really into it, that DJing was kind of like selling air. Yeah, I was really stupid in my ideas about DJing. But it probably
what made you think that? I mean, it's really hard to be a good DJ.
Well, okay, opinions differ on that, how hard it is. I have very successful DJ friends who are like, it's the simplest thing, and some even get really bored by it. That's when sometimes you see people branching out to doing live productions with hardware synths and all that.
Yeah.
No, it's and I was totally wrong, because later on I did start DJing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, first of all, for me, this doesn't come naturally. I think it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
And I love it. So that's what I did discover.
Feels a bit schizophrenic.
Yeah.
It's really hard, but I love it. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's schizophrenic. It was something I had to work for, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the result was being on a stage and connecting, and amazing. Yeah.
But you obviously have a passion for trance music. You earned your stripes. Well, let's be honest, you did. But you're also a coach and a teacher.
Yes.
And did you grow into that? Did you want to share your passion with other potential talent?
Well, actually, I think I never finished the question before, a little while back, because I was talking about how I would bike past the Rock Academy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what would it be to be inside there?
Yeah.
So I started working for Armada Music, but to be clear, I started working at the office of Armada Music. So I was already an artist. After graduation, I started working as a project manager there. But I said to Armada, I don't want to work more than 20 hours per week, because I also want to be an artist.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, fine, you're an artist. Great. Robin Moorsink was a friend of mine, a producer as well, who later on worked for like Fed Legrand a lot.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Great guy. We made some music together sometimes. He was actually the first teacher, I think in Holland even, at a production education.
Yeah.
Like governmental school.
Yeah.
HBO. The Rock Academy.
Yeah.
that was his department, like the music production department, which was all about electronic
Because
music.
before that, there was only the conservatorium, or what it's called in English.
Conservatory, yeah.
That's mostly acoustical music.
Yeah, there was a lot of classical and jazz music,
Yeah.
and Rock Academy was one of the first schools where a lot of they were pop oriented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the major difference between the conservatory
And then
Yeah.
pop oriented conservatories started becoming more and more
Yeah.
popular as well.
Yeah.
But Rock Academy had the music production department, and Robin, he needed an extra teacher. So right when I graduated and would start my new position at Armada Music,
Yeah.
he asked me like, "Hey, Mark, would you like to become a teacher?" And I was like, this gives me a shot of actually being in the building,
Yeah.
being in that community, even though I chose earlier on to not be a student. Well, I think I'm going to try.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
I'm going to go for it.
Yeah,
Okay, there will be less time for my music, but let's do this 1 day a week maximum, and we'll see.
sure.
So, yeah, I did, and that's how I started being a teacher.
What year are we talking?
Yeah, like 2008, 2009.
All right.
I'm really bad at looking back in the
But
years.
you're doing this for, let's say, 10 years or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what talent did you coach and teach your stuff? Are there
Well-
some famous artists we can think about?
Yeah, sure. There are a lot of guys that are doing great work throughout the years. So I started at the Rock Academy. Then I got asked to set up the new department at the Haarlem Academy,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the dance producer department.
yeah.
Great opportunities. So at some point I was working at both schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a few years in at the Haarlem Academy, amazing school. It's such a great vibe. There was this guy, Martijn Garretsen. He came in. Actually, the school year already started. It's a nice story.
He came late.
Yeah. He started his fourth VWO, I think, 4th year of high school.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh man,
Ah,
my friend Julian Jordan is in the Haarlem Academy dance producer department. And when I'm starting my math, he's making a new hit song. Mom, Dad, can I please? So
Yeah.
actually, we took him in, and that's Martin Garrix, of course.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to be his teacher actually in the year that he became world famous with
Yeah.
Animals.
yeah. Oh yeah, Animals. But he was 4th year high school, so he was very young.
He was 16.
16,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. And he stepped in late, but you saw something in him that was interesting.
I think I needed about 30 seconds of his music
Yeah,
to know, okay,
he's good.
Let's invite him.
Yeah.
Let's let him in. Yeah.
And how long is that traject? How many years is the education? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4 years?
I think back then it went from 4 to 3, and I think Martijn
Yeah.
got the 3-year education. Then he actually skipped, I think, 2nd year. I wasn't his longer his teacher then, but I think
Yeah.
he skipped the 2nd and he graduated. Yeah. So
Martin, that's a good example.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's the most famous one, the biggest. I mean,
Yeah.
that's logical. But Julian Jordan, like I said, also people in totally different genres.
Mhm.
In Holland, one of the most talented, successful DJs right now is De Sluwe Vos.
Oh yeah.
He was
Yeah.
one of my students.
Yeah.
There's a guy from the Conservatorium of Haarlem, where I started teaching later.
Yeah.
His name is Madouk. He's the founder of Liquidity. They have festivals all over the world,
Oh,
and
cool.
he's doing really well.
Yeah.
There are so many talents. I'm coaching Steve from Lucas and Steve. There's guys like Swag, See Me Counting Stacks, Alpha Rock. He's A&R manager at Spinning Records nowadays.
Yeah.
There's a long list. Pythias, he's like in heavy drum and bass. He's really good right now. Yeah, there are so many talents.
But what strikes me, I mean, you coach those people, you teach them stuff, but mostly it's some kind of therapy maybe, because you have to...
Mushroom therapy?
Mushroom therapy, yeah, maybe like that. Because not all styles are your style. So you have to coach them and say, you can look at it this way, or you can produce it like that. And how do you do that?
Well, like I said, my interest in music is very broad.
Yeah, it has to be.
Well, there are teachers that have less interested in genre A or B. Everyone. I mean, I have my preferences as well, of course. But I feel like I have a very broad taste, and that helps a lot. I think also because of my upbringing, I started analyzing music from a very early age, because actually, that's might be a nice funny story. When my dad was doing all these bands, he was always busy like trying to figure out the lyrics. There was no internet back then. And that's actually
a big difference.
Yeah, that's actually how I learned English really early, because my mom, she would... Well, I got the assignment at some point. That's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I got the assignment, like the task, like, hey, Mark, do you want to maybe analyze and prepare one of the songs for Dad's band?
Yeah.
And I would write the lyrics, like phonetically, the words that I didn't know. And my mom would go through it, like, okay, no, you got to write this like this. And she would... well, not grade it, but she would help me get the lyrics right. So I was ahead of my class in terms of English.
Yeah.
At the same time, I needed to find the chords so the band could play the songs. Yep. So I was trying with my guitar or piano or something. I was searching the right chords for that song so my dad's band could play it. At some point, I got to do that. So I was analyzing music from a very early age.
Yeah.
And not so much in terms of sound or mix. It's funny, I listened to a very old album a few weeks back, Jeff Wayne, War of the Worlds. That was huge to me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I realized that I listen to music so differently now from then compared to then.
Well, what is the difference then?
I hear sound and mix so much clearer now. It's really a difference of night and day. I wasn't really paying attention to that consciously back then.
No.
I was doing my own band, so I was working to get like nice distortion on my guitar, or to get that snare drum nice and tight, or so definitely. But of course, I developed it further. But to come back to your question, I think that history has helped me, along with my broad taste, in analyzing whatever I get thrown at me. So it doesn't really matter a lot what the student brings me or the coachee.
Yeah.
As long as it's not completely weird and unrelatable to anything, I can say stuff about it most of the time.
Do you still get really emotional sometimes when you hear a track for the first time that a student brings in?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I am so fortunate doing this.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think I have been like crazy a little bit, or brave, you could say, in making some choices. Like, I didn't use my study, right? I'm not a business engineer right now.
No.
so I made some tough choices to get where I am now. But the result is that I have goosebumps while doing my work, while creating music, but also while coaching talent.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's the greatest thing. So, yeah, there are definitely emotions. Also, there are emotions at the coachees, at the talents themselves. I try to go beyond just the technical stuff.
Yeah.
So we talk about life. We talk about what is bothering them, what is kind of blocking creativity, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And there are quite often tears on that from them as well, which I always love because, and it sounds crazy maybe, but what I feel is like when that happens, we're onto something.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, the emotion comes from both sides.
Yeah, but the fact that they open up that way could be a real compliment. I mean, it means they do trust you.
Yeah, I guess. I tend to have, I feel, a really nice relationship with most of the students. Yeah, and that's, yeah, again, I'm really lucky that way.
Yeah, yeah. It's the beauty of your job, of course.
Yeah.
We're completely off script, by the way. It doesn't
there was a
matter.
script.
No, yeah, I had some questions prepared. Let me say to our audience that you can ask questions too, if you like. And you stream it on your Facebook, so if they have any questions, they can roll it, and it makes it more interesting.
Yeah,
I
sure.
guess. Yeah, but I also had some very personal questions, if you don't mind. But I mean, you got quite the career.
Thank you.
Yeah, you mean something to your students. You did your job in the business itself. You made records yourself. Are you happy with yourself?
Wow, that's a very personal question.
It is.
And I'll, we always talk very
Yeah.
honestly towards each other. I am definitely happy with a large part of where I'm at career-wise.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's hard to deny that something is going well if there is such if there are such emotions.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. But I'm not there yet, and no one's ever there. But there is stuff to work on for me, for sure. Even in my career,
Yeah.
I would love to do much more in terms of music myself. Still, there hasn't been a huge amount of work. There has been quite a lot of work in dance music as well, but more behind the scenes the last years. Last year, I did release a track with BLR, Leon Bolier, one of my friends.
Yeah.
Amazing producer. On After Hours, which is, funnily enough, Chesto's latest record label.
Yeah.
But I would like to do much more. And now it becomes a matter of balancing. And I'm doing so much. I'm also... So we didn't talk about this yet, but I'm also working at Stamped Studios.
Yeah, I was in there somewhere.
Yeah, so Martin Garrix is... He bought a studio complex, and he asked me if I wanted to work there. And that's actually how I started setting up my own producer coaching business. Yeah. And I'm doing that over there. But I'm also an engineer there. I am recording artists. I'm mixing. So that's another role.
So you got like three. You're a teacher, you're a producer, and you are a coach, an engineer,
artist.
Wow.
So there's a lot. And to get back to your questions, are you happy? I am happy with like all these great things that are happening in music. But I would like to simplify my working career some more.
Yeah, more focus.
To get more focus, and because I see with my coachees all the time, the ones with the most clear focus, they get the furthest.
Mm-hmm.
When Martin came in, Fire Beats, some other guys that I coached, those guys are like, you can tell me whatever you want and I'll listen to you if it's
relevant.
If it's relevant, but I'm going over there, and no one's gonna stop me.
Yeah, what I'm following some guys, Jordan Peterson, I think we talked about him, and the latest video I saw from him was about focus, and he said the mind is a strange thing. As soon as you start focusing on something, the world falls into place, and things start to align to your focus. I think it's very, very true. I was in the gym this morning, and I mean it's 3 o'clock here in Holland, so and I was doing some bench presses, and of course it gets tough. I mean, you put weights on there, and it gets heavy and tough. And I thought, no, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. And that's the mind, and your muscle sore goes away, and you just push. That's the thing, and I think it's the same with a career or with music production or with everything. So as soon as you start focusing on your task, you'll get there. That's well, of course you gotta have the skill, but
well, this could be a long talk.
Well, we still got 15 minutes. So
really?
Yeah,
50 minutes. That's all.
Yeah, we got an hour.
I didn't know. I didn't know there was a limit.
No, we can talk, but I know it's the internet generation, so they'll
attention span.
It's like 10 minutes, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
But
so I believe I'm with you when it goes to focus, and I meditate. We talked about it a lot.
Well, you taught me.
Yeah.
Thank you still for that.
Yeah, I'm so. That was amazing to see as well. I think I got goosebumps when you told me that it really stuck.
It
there
works.
As well, right?
It really works.
Yeah. Hey, the science is clear.
Yeah.
So when I meditate, I said I visualize. I'm setting goals is a bit strong, but I'm visualizing what I would love to have or love to achieve or something. Cool. Actually, one of the things. There's a lot of examples about that, but at some point I was focusing on having an incredible studio to work in. I'm in Haarlem as your neighbor for a long time already, and it's amazing. I mean, the people here are great. Let's mention the studio, by the way, for an instance.
Well, it's a new. You mean our tone?
Yeah.
Here, it's new, and it's a lovely place. I mean, we can use it. We're streaming now live from an amazing studio. The acoustics are incredible.
It's simply beautiful. It's a very nice vibe to be here. They have a very unique concept in direct to disc recording.
Yeah.
And it's just always a good vibe here in the building. People are great. They're all working in music or audio.
That's the synergy here. I mean, it's for our audience. We sometimes listen to the same equipment, and it's always good to have an extra pair of ears, especially if it's trained. And that's the thing here. I mean, it's the synergy. You step in, you say, I like this, or I like this from the stuff we're testing, and most of the time we agree.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
That's something good.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same with the studio. They say, okay, you can sit there and do your interview, and together you get further.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of being here.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was focusing on an incredibly well equipped and cozy studio. That was literally what I was mentioning to myself. And then after a few other rooms, I got the room that I'm in now.
Oh, yeah.
And so around that time, well, maybe a little bit later, but Martin asked me to work at Stamped Studios, which is one of the most crazy studios in the world. You know it. You've been there.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's top notch.
Yeah, it is.
So without even realizing it, at some point, someone actually told me, like, Mark, that goal of yours, that incredible equipped studio and everything,
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, there's multiple of these rooms in my life right now.
Yeah.
I can work at Stamped whenever I want. It's amazing. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of power in focus, for sure, and in that sense as well. However, I feel like you hear a lot of people like, work hard and you'll get there.
Yeah.
I think that's a given. Everyone that wants to reach like very intricate or hard goals, they have to work hard.
Yeah.
But I also believe that it has to be in your heart as well.
Yeah.
If it's a goal coming purely from ego, for instance, from your mind, I think that I'm not saying it's impossible to reach it then, but I think it's a lot less obvious that you will get there.
Does it have to do something with the intention of getting there?
Yes. Yeah.
If it's pure, then it's okay. But if the intention is not good, people will notice. Maybe.
Yeah, people will notice. I think, like, to get a little bit philosophical, spiritual, like the universe will not set things in motion the way it would if it would be really from the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, totally different.
No, but I do agree. I still believe in karma. It's one thing. I think if you do good, you'll get goodness back, if that's English, I don't know. And I always try to be good to people. I try to help them, and sometimes you get some beauty back.
You definitely do. I can attest.
That's
John Mayer, one of my heroes.
Yeah.
He has this lyric says, "I believe that the love I gave returns to me," or something like that. No, I believe that my life's gonna see the love I gave returned to me.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, and actually, I don't. Well, I do believe it, but it's not a goal. It's like
no, it's not a goal. It's not. You shouldn't give to get something back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've discovered for myself, it's about giving. Period.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no. It's about giving, and then it's about giving.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the part of the intention I was talking about.
Exactly.
Do you give something to be? I gave you something, so now you owe me. That's the wrong intention.
Yeah.
That's, we're into 50 minutes now. Let's see. The 1 hour is not a hard limit. So if we go off script, it's not bad. But I was. I have two more subjects to touch, if you don't mind. One thing was, of course, Alpha Audio is all about gear, and I think my audience is having a hard time because this is nothing about gear. This is only about you and I'm on the wrong camera. Only about you and music. But the equipment will be very quiet if there's no music to be played.
Sure.
But to touch the gear a little bit, you produce.
Love it.
I know you like music, you like gear, but 2 years ago, I think you got acquainted with Metrum Acoustics. Did it make a difference in your workflow to go from good gear to better gear?
In terms of workflow, hardly.
Yeah.
Well, let me start with saying that I think Kees's work is amazing. He's a wizard.
Yeah.
And a great guy.
Yeah.
It's very special combination, I think. I got in touch with them, and the only thing workflow-wise that has really changed in terms of order or something is that now I have a separate input for my a separate sound card for my inputs, and a separate sound card, read DA converter, for my out. So that's what's changed from a technical perspective. However, I feel that having such great DA conversion did actually help me improve my mixes. And also the listening experience, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's much more detail compared to my old sound card. Actually, I feel like you never stop learning, right? I hope so. It's still so interesting to notice where my analysis, where my hearing can improve. And one of the things that the Metrum equipment gave me was a sense of depth. I realized that I had always been mixing mostly 2D.
Like a flat image.
Yeah, like up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
And I knew about, okay, if you put reverb on a guitar, your brain, actually your hearing, but your brain psychoacoustically starts to feel like, oh, this is a big space, then this this guitar must be further away.
Yeah.
Most of the time, right? There's more to say about it, but so I understood the concept of depth.
Yeah.
But with the Metrum, I started using it actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's what you mean by workflow, then yes.
That is what I meant. I mean, you get better imaging. It's more phase coherent, if the technical term.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play with the depth in your mixes. And maybe, I don't know, detail-wise, it would be a little bit better than what you had. So maybe your mixes will be more balanced.
I remember clearly the first thing I did, I had a track, I produced a track, My Good Place, Cathy Heath. Actually, I wrote the track.
The lady. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I also write songs. I'm a top-line songwriter every once in a while. Love it. And we wrote My Good Place for her Cathy Heath project. Our Sonic made a dance remix of it, and that became the original. But I wanted to do like a chill-out version
of it.
Like chill-out's probably the music I listen to most nowadays. And I made my own version, and that was, I believe, the first thing I produced and mixed with Metrum.
Yeah.
And I felt a difference in sound immediately.
Yeah.
So I was very happy about that.
So that it is a thing to get better gear, and
maybe there is like. You don't need a Metrum DA converter to make great music.
No.
I mean, Garrix made Animals on a laptop with a few KRKs.
He still makes music on a laptop.
Actually, I do too. But no, I mean, he probably didn't even have a separate sound card. So there is definitely, I think, like a limit after which you might hear more detail, but it's not really making a huge difference anymore, or if any. And actually, I can also imagine, I have no experience, but I can imagine if you get too much detail. Yeah. I'm wondering about Case's new converter. I really want to try it. But I wonder if at some point I get too distracted by the amount of details. So now my mixes become, my mixing becomes a longer stage. Yeah. It takes longer time. And will it still benefit? Will the music still benefit? Maybe yes. I'm not sure. Let's find out.
No, well, in a sense, it's of course the like with TVs. I mean, these cameras are all 4K. That's a lot of detail. Now they go to 8K.
Yeah,
that's even more detail.
Yeah.
There is even a Blackmagic 12K.
12K, I'm sorry.
It's getting nuts.
Yeah.
And the only thing I use 4K is to crop it.
Uh-huh.
You get more freedom in editing, but I think our viewers on YouTube, I mean, 4K on YouTube streaming, it's quite useless because they'll use a screen like this. Mm-hmm. But then we didn't even touch the whole Spotify landscape now. How did that change music? I mean, we use music everywhere now. Mm-hmm. Mobile, at home, in the office.
Yeah. There's never been more consummation of music than today.
Is that a good thing? Or is there also a dark side concerning streaming music? I mean, for the artist, it made a huge impact, I guess.
Yeah. Good and bad. I believe these things, they are what they are. There's a lot of complaint about the income per stream, for instance.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, especially YouTube is like pathetic. The income per stream, it's really crazy. Yet a lot of people use YouTube as their jukebox, basically.
Yeah, I could totally agree that you can't live from YouTube. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. Unless you get 1 million or more subscribers.
Yeah. But so in that sense, it was a huge blow to the industry. When I started releasing music, there was this whole market for compilation CDs, like the ones we just talked about, In Search of Sunrise, Universal Religion, and all that. Yeah. A State of Trance. It was amazing because it was a very important source of income for dance producers, music producers. Then came downloads, and it was already like, oh, what's gonna happen? And there was already like a big downside. And then streaming. Yeah. However, it's also a matter of adapting. Yeah. I know people that are doing great on streaming. Mm-hmm. And okay, it used to always be like most of the music, of the money in music is in performing. Well, not right now, obviously, but let's say...
Let's not go there.
No, indeed. But it's actually becoming more and more possible to make a living from just making music again. Yeah. And that's because streaming is still growing year over year. Yeah. Right? Again, Corona might have changed the numbers temporarily. Mm-hmm. But, well, it's pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Spotify is nowhere near in all the countries in the world. No, definitely not. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I have friends in Croatia. I used to DJ there quite a lot. Yeah. And they were jealous of us because they had no Spotify. What? Like, until... I'm not even sure it's there at this point. But, like, 2 or 3 years ago, I believe there was no Spotify yet.
Wow, that's weird.
And India...
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Got... connected. China has its alternatives. They have their own. Yeah,
they have their own platforms, but it's different.
Yeah, it's, imagine Spotify being connected and active in China. Jesus. Yeah. In India, it's just come online. Yeah, like last year, year before.
Yeah, it's very short. Yeah.
So, it's still growing, which is amazing.
Yeah, but for an artist, what I understood is that they had to mix differently because they get paid by the first minute.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole song structure has to be like, bam, you got to get in there and you got to keep the listener for at least a minute, otherwise they don't pay.
Well, Spotify actually pays every stream after 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. there's definitely more focus on that. But to be fair,
Spotify became available in Croatia 4 days ago.
4 days ago.
4 days. Thanks,
good news. Thank
Robert. Yeah. Thanks for the feedback.
I'll hook up my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's an old saying in popular music, and I use it all the time in my coaching.
Yeah.
And it says, "Don't bore us, get to the chorus."
My wife will love that because she hates intros.
Yeah.
So don't think too long about that. Okay.
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 Shall I run there and do a quick
get on the drums. No, but
it's been like in the 60s, I think, A&R managers from record labels were already like, it needs to be 2.5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, you got the 3-minute limit, I thought. Something like that.
3 minutes is still some kind of a magical number in radio versions. Yeah. So it always happened, but there will indeed be even more focus on that because of knowledge about when streaming services like Spotify pay out. Yeah, for sure. But music is super technology driven. It always was.
Yeah, true.
So
maybe a little bit too much because we had so much media. We went from the vinyl to CD to we had minute disc and DCC. I just had a conversation about that with Martijn, and now it's streaming. It's always cutting edge, but the adaptation is not that quick. We still use vinyl. I mean, we're in a vinyl factory here, so
for sure,
and they do better than ever. So, on one hand, it's very conservative. On the other hand, it's very technology driven. That's true. And the way you work.
In what way is it conservative then?
Because I know, and I don't want to be harsh, but a lot of my readers and viewers still hate digital.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah,
vinyl sound much better. And we both know that 90% of what is being produced here is digital when it comes in. And after that, they mix it a little bit differently. And some ways it's better because it just sounds better than the CD mix. But it's that's a whole other discussion.
Another 3-hour discussion.
Yeah. But in some ways, I think the audio industry is quite conservative, but the youth isn't, and that's what I was talking to, actually, is do you, as an artist or as new talent, have more opportunity to break through because of all the technology and Spotify's and platforms like that?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah. Because you can be heard now.
Exactly. Before streaming, or let's say before internet.
Yeah.
That's
before internet. Well, that's
before social media and streaming.
Let's say before 98 or something like that, because that was when internet became big, at least in Holland. Yeah.
As an artist, you were so dependent on whether record companies liked you or not.
Yeah.
Of course, there was still the option of getting a career out of just playing bars. If you were lucky, you could maybe move up to clubs and stuff like that. Yeah. But at some point, you would hit a wall.
Yeah.
Or ceiling. You needed a record label. And if the record label wasn't interested, then, well, tough luck.
Yeah.
That's it. Nowadays, you don't need a label. True. I think there's a lot of value in labels still. That's, again, another...
Could you see a label as the distributor for hi-fi equipment? I mean, you have the artists, like the factories, or the brands, and they need someone to distribute their stuff. Could a label be compared to that?
So you're asking if you could view a label as a hardware
distributor.
Yeah.
Or do they do more?
Wow, that's a tough one. They distribute products, of course.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes. But I think the comparison ends at what's probably the most important thing for record labels, for artists right now in terms of record labels, which is their community, their size, their striking power. Like a small label is great, and they can do a lot of work for you, and they can focus on stuff to get your music out there, and you might not be able to do it yourself. Like, you don't need a label in the sense that if you have a subscription to SoundCloud, a paid subscription, you can upload stuff to Spotify already.
Seriously?
Yes. And there are others like DistroKid. You can just self-release, no problem. I know people that have gotten millions of streams like that.
Cool.
But if you... then you have to be really lucky if that blows up into a full-blown career.
Yeah.
A record label combines a lot of artists, and so the consumer knows, hey, I can go there and find a lot of different stuff, stuff I like probably. Although I have to say that labels aren't as visual a lot of times, and they're like when you go to Spotify, not a lot of people are searching for labels probably.
No, absolutely not. No.
But still, they have some kind of muscle, which makes it easier for them to promote. And that's a very important power of a good label. Yeah. When they're bigger and they have maybe offices all over the world, now they can really pinpoint their marketing, their promotion of your stuff to the genre, to the environment, to the region, to the country. I think there's still a lot of value in labels, but luckily,
it's changing.
Yeah, well, and I don't mind if they're fair. I'm just saying that indeed there might be downsides to the new technology for artists, but there are probably just as many upsides. The amount of artists that I've discovered through Discover Weekly or, I mean,
loads.
I listen to a lot more small artists nowadays than I would 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I use the algorithms a lot. Yeah. Just say, play, I like Radiohead. Play some stuff from Radiohead, and then after that you get a lot of stuff that sounds like Radiohead or Radiohead likes. Yeah. And that way you do discover music that you normally wouldn't. Exactly. So that's the upside of the whole streaming services. And, well, I guess I have one more question, and that's what's next for you? What's your ultimate goal in life that you would like to realize?
What's next for me? Those are kind of two different things, but
okay, let's start with what's next, and then where's your focus now?
Okay, so right now I am focused on two things. First of all, getting clearer where my own music is headed. I have a lot of music on my computer, and I'm figuring out if there's like a focus in there. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm going to go that way. Yeah. So that's next. I actually am going to take a long holiday after this, and the idea is to get more perspective.
Yeah.
Where do I want to go? When am I the happiest? With my own career and my own life. So I want to focus on that, but also very clearly, I'm focusing on growing the producer coaching brand.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
markottencoaching.com.
markottencoaching.com. Yeah. It's going so well. It's just great. It's amazing to do.
Yeah.
I get so much joy out of it, and the people coming as well. I mean, the feedback, I don't want to brag, but it's really amazing.
I see your face changing when you're talking about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like there's so much more possible with that.
Yeah. Cool.
Also, by the way, of course, I'm still continuing improving the Haarlem Conservatoire education as well.
Thank you for your 1 hour and 15 minutes. It's been very, very nice talking to you. I mean, we've been in the same hallway.
Yeah.
For more than 3 years now.
Wow.
I think 3.5.
Yeah.
And I still hear new things.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Well, same thing for me. Thank you for having me. It was very interesting.
And let's check what questions come out later.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And we say goodbye to our viewers. It's the middle camera. I forgot to turn on the telly lights, but hey, who cares? For all the viewers now, this was the first interview we did with. So the honor is all yours.
Thank you.
And if you like this kind of video, please let us know. Have a nice weekend, and see you all later. And thank you, Mark, for being here.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Cheers.
Then we're going offline now.